Meeting. I see that we have 4 directors here. Fred Letterman is out. Let's start with an opening invocation and a pledge of allegiance. Lord, we want to thank you for bringing us all here in good health and in good spirits, Lord. Please transmit to each of us the responsibility that we have on our shoulders and give us the wisdom to make educated choices today. Thanks. Lord, we give you thanks and praise. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God. Have anyone from the public? No? Okay. Mike, do we have any requests?
Yes, you guys are the lucky ones this month. We got 2. First one is account number 48-7700-01. It's a large estate lot in Carlton Woods. They had a sprinkler system leak that caused a usage in gallons of 223,000 gallons. Their average is 44,000, so it would be an adjustment of 179,000 gallons, or a credit to their account of $1,132.94. They do have their repair bills. They did get a wise guy inspection, and they do meet your qualifications, and we are recommending approval.
Were they signed up for the WaterWise?
They are signed up
Before?
for this now.
Okay, they weren't before?
They were not.
Okay. I have a hard time approving this, but since you recommended it, I'll make a motion that
It's tough on me too.
yeah.
Did you have another one? You said there were
We do
2.
have another one.
Okay, we'll just,
That's that one.
One motion.
Do one motion, that'd be fine. This one is account number 49-0525-01. It is also a large lot, not a Carlton Woods size lot, but it's a fairly large lot. They had a burst pipe. They did provide photographs of the pipe by their pool equipment. Their gallons in question is 382,000 gallons. Their average is 18,000. So the adjustment is 364,000 gallons. They entered continuous consumption on August 17th. They fixed it on August 27th, 10 days later after they came home from vacation. And they were using about 35,000 gallons a day. They are also signed up for WaterSmart now. They were not at the time. The total refund, if you approve this one, is $2,731.51, and it does meet the requirements for approval
You said that they're flowing 35,000 gallons a day.
a day.
And I'm wondering, is there some way to set up the system where you get a massive flow like that and the water meter would trigger it where,
We do.
Water.
They're signed up for the alerts. They'll get those as well.
but would Woodlands water get an alert to trigger something that big?
Yeah,
We could,
we probably would.
unnotified, yeah.
Yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
when was the last time we adjusted those rules? Was it,
6 years now.
we need to adjust them now that we have WaterWise, because if we give
Meters.
them the tools to find and detect these leaks, yet they fail to use the tools.
Well, Woodlands water also ought to be triggered or alarmed and go out there and get it. Look,
We'd get thousands a day. It just.
not that magnitude.
Surprised.
I would.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Maybe not thousands a day, but that magnitude is not unusual for a water line break.
Is that a WWA policy or my policy?
It's a flood policy.
My policy.
It's a consolidated mud policy. It's for all the muds.
So when you're
It's not
saying that
specific.
you would get an alert, like you would get that meter would like somehow, like how do you get the alert that that house, that it's a legitimate over usage and not like somebody just wants to water 35,000 gallons?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
I use it.
well,
So
no, I mean, I use it.
I have like 500 gallons. I get an alert. Anything beyond 500 gallons a day.
Yeah, you can set the limits.
You set
wherever
the
you
limit and
No, I get it, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I think the question was asked, Woodlands Water gets an
want.
alert.
We wouldn't know.
Yeah,
If
so
it's
you
vibrating.
all wouldn't know. So even if we put a restriction and said, like Woodlands Water knows, they don't know that I didn't intend to use 35,000 gallons.
You know, unless you've got a pool and you're gonna fill a pool all in one day.
They don't know that.
I'm thinking in terms of like a plant, you know, you have an alarm and you have, you know, routine little noise, process alarm. But this is a major amount of flow.
It's a lot of flow. Yeah.
I mean, I would think that, you know, my reaction would be, I mean, Tom's kind of started the dialogue, but if you don't have the water wise set up and not using it, that we discount the refund, something like
I-
50% or something.
I think that we would have to have something to where we'd have notification that they're aware. Like, we'd have to get something, they would say, yes, I'm aware and I don't want it. Like, they would have to refuse signing up for the service for
I
us.
think
to-
that's-
I think so I'm glad that you all brought this up because I've been monitoring this. We don't have a lot, but when we do, well, excuse me. The policy states that it only has to reach a certain threshold before it comes to a board. So there's a lot more of these that happen month
Oh,
in, month out,
Yeah.
a lot more. They're just not this big. And so that's what the policy is right now. And I've seen over the last few months, this trend. And I've also seen the looks on board members' faces when they're faced with, you know, an $1,100-$1,200 bill that we're granting that, in my estimation, the rest of the district has to pay for,
Mhm.
right? Theoretically.
Yep.
And so it's been on, I've been waiting for the right time to bring this up. I think it's now,
Mhm.
which is this, to look at the policy and see where there's new technologies that we have in place. It's not the same as when the technology went into place.
True.
And so perhaps it's worth a look at the policy to see where maybe we can modernize it and bring it up to speed with the technology that we have in place. And then maybe bring a draft revision to either the trustees or the boards. I think all the boards probably need to adopt it, but I don't know if we start with the trustees, but however that needs to happen, just do that. So that would be my recommendation if y'all are inclined, and y'all can be the leader on that.
What I will say with your water wise that I don't have, that I have in other cities is I get it by the hour. Like, I can go look online. And maybe I don't have the settings right or something, but I can look online
Look at it.
and then I get it by the hour within. But when I go on WaterWise, it doesn't update like within a couple of hours. I have to wait till the next day and then it's just a daily total.
Well,
That I don't know about
It
this.
won't update a minute after you use that water. It sends the signal out, I think 4 times a day, so it'll dump for the past 6 hours.
But can I set it up by the hour? Like, I see my water usage by the hour?
Yes, Water Smart, you can see.
Okay, somebody needs to help me figure that out because I haven't figured that out.
Yeah, you should be able to.
We'll look at the policy and think of maybe some ways that we can modify it perhaps, and we'll bring it,
Yeah.
we can bring it back.
Can you not get an alert when a residential customer uses more than, say, 5,000 gallons or 10,000?
Then what Mike was saying, that would just overwhelm
Oh, well,
staff.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, even if you said it, let's just hypothetical,
Well,
but
let's say 50,000 or maybe
Yes,
100,000.
50,000, because if they're filling a swimming pool, that's 30,000 gallons right there.
I mean, I'll use this example. I mean, to think about it, the workload that would be. So you take my bill. I'm probably the last 2 months, 8 to 10x my normal water usage because of the drought. So if they set this up and there's how many accounts? Thousands and thousands and thousands of accounts, 34,000 accounts. And then the drought comes, everybody be kicked off.
But
Me?
you mentioned 600 gallons. I get an alert at 500.
I do too. I do.
And And, you know, I get one almost every day, but, you know, if it was 10,000 gallons, I'd definitely know to act on it.
Do you,
I think the policy suggestion is a good suggestion.
Yeah.
You guys
okay,
push the noodle on and figure out a recommendation.
Quick question, how is the percentage signed up in Med 46? Do we have the percentage?
Not by mud, by total, we have about 35% registered overall.
Okay, never mind.
Does the Water Smart appear different on a, you know, a regular box computer screen than a phone screen? Okay, it's a different,
In the way that it is mobile friendly, so.
right, I know, but the level of detail, you can't get to the hourly usage on the phone, but you can on the, is that
It's designed to work.
both ways? Okay.
Can you buy an app?
Is.
They do not offer an app.
They call it.
Okay. I make the motion, we,
okay, I second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, passed. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, consent agenda item 5 through 9. Any discussion?
I have a question on, let me open my book here. This is October. I want to talk about the budget that published. I think that's item is it? Beginning on page 6.
What item is it?
Item 6. Consent agenda item 6. Review the financial reports and disbursement of August 23rd.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to point out one thing. If you go to page 6 and you go to the top line, it has water revenue, and it's up, 30%, and sewer revenue is up 6%, and overall we're up 18% in terms of revenue. But if you go down the bottom and look at expenses, we're up 17%. So the point I was trying to make, if you think about, we had a drought, and you would think you'd get a good guy. We used to call those in accounting good guys. And what it looks like is the only guys who get the good guy is the SJRA. All that benefit of all the water usage passes over to them because, the water revenue was up 30%, but the bulk water revenue purchases were up 31%. And the sewer went down. So I think we have to remember that the way this is played is that we don't get much benefit out of a drought.
Well, wait a minute. The year-to-date activity for water purchases, our cost is 3.9 million, and we got 5.5 million out of it.
Yeah, but look down at the,
That's what I'm looking at.
you're looking at the expense, maybe I'm wrong.
We're coming out.
So if that's the case, where does that fall then?
Not following what you're,
So what I was trying to look at the amount of revenue we had between, we got 788,000 in revenue, and we passed on 543,000. I mean, the sewer pretty much stayed the same. So there's $200,000. Where does that filter in as we go down? I was looking at year to date.
Well, year-to-date,
So year to date, our revenue variance is much higher.
right.
You mean? So we should have a lot of good guys running around.
And that's what you budgeted for.
What's that?
And you budgeted an increase, a surplus this year. Yeah, a better surplus this year for that reason. That's where that is.
So the bottom line is, for the year, we were $271,000 above budget.
Yeah, you went a little bit above.
A little bit above, okay.
You did get the
We did get the good guy. Okay. Okay,
Yeah, and we don't know if it's gonna be a drought or wet.
we don't.
We've reminded boards over the years, we're budgeting based on what we can predict. But if it's an extremely wet year, then this is not gonna look the same. This will look different if it's a wet year, you know,
Right,
it will look worse. But we try to hit it as best as we can.
It's a 5-year average, that should be correct.
I think this one we use 4. Could be 5 and don't go too far out.
Because of,
Extra week difference. Last fiscal year. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we
Okay.
don't average off the last year. We gotta get
5-year average.
just to normalize any abnormalities.
Okay, any other discussion? And need a motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of consent agenda item 5 through 9, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, item 10. Chris, take it up there.
If it's okay with the board, I'd like to take 10 through 13 at the same time.
Okay,
So on 12 and 13, there is no update, nothing substantial with update on those two. On item number 11, related to the AC water lines, there is no action this month for the MUDs. This is just an update to what we talked about last month. Last month, we had talked about using the AC water line design and construction is going forward. Maintaining the completion of town center water lines, so it's at 95%, but no further design on any other water lines, and proposing to move forward with an AC water line condition assessment. Majority of the MUDs did not object to that. So early next year, somewhere probably February to March, we're gonna bring back the scope, polls on everything else for y'all to take a look at, review, make sure it includes what you are looking for and agree with the cost, then ask for action at that time. So. Any questions on the AC water lines? But Deidre, we did hear your request last month to see it before we went forward with approving it, just so that make sure everything we were looking for and you are looking for is in there. So that's
Yeah, it was more like a, I don't know, just a summary.
a fact sheet's what I call it.
Fact sheet, yeah.
Pages,
Yeah.
like, so y'all will definitely see that is what we're providing.
Just so that nobody, not
This
understanding.
is what now?
The AC water line, condition.
Oh, okay, you're talking about having a description of what you're contracting.
Essentially, yes, yeah.
Statement
The
statement
entire,
of work.
you got it. So we'll pass that around to make sure everybody's in agreement the best we can be, at least majority of them. On item number 10, there's no major updates to update on the monthly operations report. You'll notice some small changes over the next few months as we get input from directors. We are making slight adjustments to formatting drafts, so on and so forth. Next month, the first draft you see on the first page will be adjusted based on feedback for some clarity. And then outside that, you can see we did add section 3, which is the maintenance items. Those would be, and that'll be tweaked over time. We want to provide you with good information, and so we don't want to include like some pumps and stuff like that, but also don't want to exclude anything. So over time, what we'll do is if something breaks in that month and it's fixed, like on those water lines, we'll put it on there so you can see. But then you also see items in there like aeration basins that have been out of service since 2012, just so you can see some of this equipment that's out of service for quite a while.
On the GRP, the groundwater reduction plan,
Yes.
I noticed that the data was missing the actual data was missing from August.
That'd be the financial data.
Yeah, financial data.
So Woodlands and GRP share the same thing. Since it's the end of the fiscal year, we do not provide the August data because one is we keep the data, we keep the month end close, we extend by another week or two, so we don't have the data for the reports. Second item is that, actually, I just received them today. So second item is their draft because it does show the end of the year. And so a lot of folks will take a look at it and say, okay, per these reports, you have this much money left over, you're in the hole this much, but they're unaudited financials. So once they're audited, usually December, approved by our board in January, y'all get those usually around February as the finalized ones to use.
So normally it's data is 2 months in arrears.
GRPs is.
It's 2 months in arrears.
Yes, sir.
So why couldn't we get the June, July, August data?
The August data is the end of the month,
End of the month, end of the quarter.
end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Ours ends, August 31st, y'all's ends a month later.
Right. But, I went back and looked at September. We didn't get any data in September either. For GRP.
We check that and see.
I mean, I got the report. I don't,
Okay.
I could find it.
That's a good point. Usually the only month we don't have data on is August. So I'll take a look and see if there's an upper there.
Okay.
On that note, the Woodlands financials didn't make the package, so if you want those, they are here. The last thing I have to update is just a reminder on page 38 is the one-page flyer for the all mud meeting. In the future, we're going to change that to the all director meeting because it's aimed at directors. This is on the wastewater strategic plan, phase 2 or the master plan. October 24th, at the Woodlands offices on Sawdust, between 5 and 7, we will be providing an update. This update does include a facility layout, very, very, very draft at this point in time, but also the updated cost estimates. As a reminder, this is the second to last meeting on the strategic plan. You have this one in October with some draft to get some information out there, have discussions in November. Then December is the final all director, but
So sometimes your information gets cut off.
I noticed that one on that one. too.
Okay, so, that's just sometimes, that's just a note. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, I tried to enlarge the font on that one. I was reading last one, so it was kind of hard for me to see on even the base report. So I tried to enlarge the font so we shrink it back.
Yeah, okay, that just gets cut off. And the aquifer information, can you
Yes.
kind of go over that a little bit?
That is on page 32. So twice a year, we measure the Woodlands Wells aquifers. 38 wells in the Woodlands, measure all of them once in about once in February and once in October. That way you can see the swing between the winter savings of groundwater, if you will, and the summer usage. So what you'll have is 2 graphs for each aquifer. 2 sets for Evangeline and 2 for Jasper. The first 2 will be 1990 through 2023. So you can see well before surface water and then what happened once surface water came in. The 2010 to 2013, or excuse me, 2023 just kind of zooms in so you can see the more immediate impact of surface water. And so I'll look at like page 34. Actually, let me show you a good one to show it on page 33. That's probably not good. One thing to keep in know when you're looking at these, the Evangeline is a lot shallower. We cannot lower the wells anymore, so only 15% of the groundwater comes from the Evangeline aquifer. So very little usage in the Woodlands from that. The Jasper, though, is 85% of your flow. So when you're looking at, for example, let's go to page 35. We're going to see some more higher swings, some bigger drops on the Jasper because there's more water there to pull from and our wells can drop down. So if any of the wells in the Woodlands, for example, the aquifer drops, I think it's another 100 foot in the Evangeline, a lot of our wells would be out of commission on Evangeline. So we reserve that as much as we can and we use the Jasper because we have a few hundred feet it would have to drop before we drop in. What you'll see on page 35 is if you start around 1990, far left of the page, you'll see the aquifer levels when we first started doing the readings is somewhere right around 100 foot, let's say. Then if you fast forward over here, right around 2015, you'll see right underneath where it says 2023 in the header, 2015, that's roughly where surface water came in. So that blue line that's at the top of the dots, that's the total water demand. It splits around 2015. The blue line drops, which is groundwater only. Yellow line continues, which is still total demand. What that's meant to show is there's less demand on the wells, and so therefore you can see what the aquifers start doing at that time, which is where you see that sharp increase right around that. One thing to note that's just kind of interesting with the last 2 years of drought. If you look at 2022 and 2023, you'll see that the bottom of the lines on the aquifers, they pretty much line up to 2015 and 2012. So of course, remember 2011, 2012 is with the drought. 2015 was semi-dry as well, but not nearly as bad as 2012. So we had some recovery, but it appears to be eaten up at this time.
Do you have any information about the rest of the county in terms of what are they pulling from? Like they're pulling mainly from the Jasper, or is everybody moving off the other
Yeah, most of it is in the Jasper. I don't know the exact percentage. Lone Star actually issues permits for the Evangeline and Jasper, so I'm sure they could give us an overall percentage. I know the further south you go, they go with more Evangeline than Jasper.
It's just been pretty level on the,
On the Evangeline,
in legit, yeah.
it has been.
It's flat, it's a flatter. I, in my former experience, in consulting, I looked, Deidre did the same thing. We looked at those same types of graphs. And both the Evangeline and Jasper showed in Montgomery County and Harris County. Same aquifer, but in different counties, you know, different muds, whatnot around in the area, same exact trends. You'll see, although in Harris County, that dip up in 15 when surface water came in, it started to dip up in 10 in Harris County when surface water came on. But the Evangeline was a flatter downtrend and the Jaspers were a steeper downtrend, almost identical to that map from what my experience was in both counties.
So a couple of weeks ago, Jason Gamage from the USGS gave a presentation to the Woodlands Green and whoever else wanted to call in. And what he showed was in our area, there's been a pretty significant drop in level, where down central Houston, they're showing recovery, they're showing increased level. And so I was hoping that, you know, with this target of 50% groundwater, 50% surface water, that we, you know, at least stabilize and maybe come up a little, but that's not what the data shows. And when I look at the numbers in the graph or the graphs, you know, it's, the drop looks significant and, you know, you feel like, well, how much is it really? You know, these are individual wells that they're showing. So I asked Chris for the numeric data, and he gave me some pretty extensive spreadsheets, and I summarized them this way. And what it looks like is, you know, if the levels are volatile, you know, the flows are volatile. And so, you know, my impression is that if only we could actually achieve a 50-50 mix or actually go under 50% groundwater, you could stabilize the level. And so the you know, you look at the flows, I'm showing the groundwater flow for each well. The overall number is actually less, but when you look at the month-to-month flow data, August was a real hit. And as a result, I think these levels are measured October into September.
September.
They're actually lower than they could be if only August had been stabilized. So I look at this and I'm thinking, I sure wish that we could get SJRA to have an actual goal of reducing groundwater use and actually have a goal for the whole year of 60%, I'm sorry, maximum of 50% groundwater. This year looks like it's 60%.
No, no.
Yeah, 60%.
47%.
I'm looking at this numbers here.
Only month one.
Now I'm looking at the data here for on page 18. And I think it's the year, I'm sorry, it is 47%. Only 47% surface wall.
One thing to keep in mind is we do have a goal of 50-50 blend. However, last year or just a few months ago, the GRP plant was running at about 28 million gallons a day. You can squeeze out a little bit more, but not too much more. So once GRP is maxed out, because of everybody else we're serving, everything to meet demand after that's going to be on groundwater, unless the Woods or Woodlands Water decide to go into a drought contingency stage.
What I was using the words of an annual average or an annual goal of 50-50. So that says that you could start now instead of going 60% surface water or 50%, I said that wrong. 60% groundwater, you could be cutting that groundwater and having maybe 70% surface water. And between now and May, you be raising your surface water production, cutting groundwater production, and for the year, average out.
I know you have something.
That's what, I mean, you just described what you were about to say.
Yeah, but I do flip it though. Here's the reason why. We can probably hit in the winter time, we can hit a lot more surface water, right? Your demand's not in the winter, your demand's in the summer.
But
So,
what I'm suggesting is build up as much level as you can in the aquifer when you have the ability to do it.
I see what you're saying. Now, one thing to keep, there's a few other things to keep in mind is one, I have to balance our fiscal year 50-50 blend ratio with the Lone Star groundwater permit that we have, which is calendar based. Okay. And so sometimes it happens where in the wintertime, I do have to stockpile surface water because I'm out of groundwater usage. Sometimes I have to stockpile groundwater in the beginning of the year. The other thing is, and it's just based on the numbers and how the permits work out, because it's a constant balance. But if we go above generally 50% surface water, there's TTHM issues within the system, which means the disinfection byproduct. And so there's a lot more flushing that's involved to get rid of those. And so therefore a lot more water loss, non-revenue water. GRP's actually commissioned a study though, I'll say last month, to look at what it's going to take for each of the participants to go above 50%. So in the case of the Woodlands, go to 65%. If that's ever requested by the Woodlands and approved by the review committee, GRP needs to know how much they're going to have to pay to take the demand up to 65 here.
When you say the water plant's at capacity, is that a physical capacity or a budget capacity?
Physical.
So in order to get more out of the plant, what's missing?
Well, you got to start with the first is going to be the membranes. So the membranes is like the heart of the entire thing. Membranes, the GAC is secondary. You can bypass some pre-treatment. You have to look at it process by process because some of them are designed for like 40, 50 MGD. And whichever one size for 30 overall, but then you have to talk to the TCEQ because they have to approve it on that time.
So there's a limiting factor somewhere.
There's limiting factors, yeah, for sure.
The TCQ, when you apply for a permit, they're basically responding to what you request.
Right, as long as we have all the drawings and the plans, the
Right.
engineer stamp saying, yes, I guarantee this can.
This can happen. So I guess the question I have is leaving out the government approval.
Yeah.
Physical plan. How much more can be brought out of that physical plan?
That'd have to be through a study just to look at it, because I don't know the exact capacity of each of the basins. We have it for the Woodlands, but I don't have it for GRP. I'm sure we have it somewhere. I can dig it up and look.
When you say that, I guess I'm going back strictly looking at the water plant at Lake Conroe and the pipes that GRP lines that extend. Is there, I guess mainly that the pipes we're not at pipe capacity, we're at
Right. The
we're
pipes
at
are actually
water plant
sized.
capacity.
Yeah, because there's supposed to be 4 phases of GRP.
Right.
The pipes were put in at double capacity for phase 1 and phase 2. So that's actually sized for about 60 million gallons. It's actually inside the plant itself. You have some redundancy built in because it's cheaper now to do it rather than later. But there's still a lot of stuff you have to look at to see what you can squeeze out of it. Sometimes technology changes and you can get 5 billion more gallons out of it.
What I wanted to do was suggest it wouldn't take a big change to actually, my impression is it wouldn't take a big change to actually stabilize aquifers here.
Yes and no, because keep in
And I
mind-
just want to push you to think out of the box.
I definitely, we got that, because that's one of our things when we look at is how can we balance it? There's rhymes and reasons why we don't, but keep in mind, you have 38 wells out of 150, 200 wells in the county. So if you're at 50-50 here in the Woodlands, but the other 100, 150 wells around you pumping out the same straw.
I understand that, but
Right,
And you see that in this chart, by the way.
yeah.
maybe you do.
Two things to look at, right here and right here.
What I want to push though is the idea of do the best we can ourselves here.
What I heard is that we're not doing something that we could do, which is go to a higher stage of drought contingency.
Well, that's true.
We could limit,
Yeah, good.
and that is something that we're in control of. And other cities in the state were at stage 3 and stage 4 throughout the summer.
I think there's more we can do to stabilize aquifer. I agree with your comment.
The drought contingency and water conservation plan renewal 5-year updates due March of 24, I believe. And we're looking at ours now because we're tied by lake level and a whole bunch of complicated things. We're cleaning all that up to make it basically tied to plant production here in the woodlands and lake level only. And that's what we follow, but you always have the right at any point to say, we're going into stage 3, stage 4 for whatever reason.
So you charge $3.41 per 1,000 gallons out of the pipeline,
Surface water.
surface water out of the pipeline. So, again, I'm just kind of, looking at your budget. So you're about 75% fixed, 25% variable. So if you look at the difference between the groundwater fee at $2.99 and the $3.41, there's 42-cent difference. And from the numbers I've run, it probably costs you 85 cents to clean the water. Is that?
I haven't ran those numbers, but I'll tell you right now, GRP is going through a rate study.
Right.
And part of that, they're looking at the differential and how much it costs to make water, because they're also doing a special rate assessment. So Willis wants additional surface water above and beyond. How much does it cost to make the water and sell it to them? So that should be a part of that.
Just looking at the budget and, doing the hand wave, I guess the question, if you go back to, if the 341 is fixed for everybody, I mean, that's the game. If you give us more water, you're going to be passing cost on to other entities.
Which is also one of the biggest, I'd say, hindrances in a lot of cases is, if this was a Woodlands water plant, whatever you want to pay for, whatever you want to do, we'll do it. Woodlands is one of 80 contracts. There's 149 systems, but 80 contracts, right? So if Woodlands wants to go to a phase 2, or they want more water, they want to increase capacity, whatever, squeeze 35 million out of it, that has to be taken to the GRP review committee. And if the other 79 participants do not choose to spend money to help out Woodlands, we don't have any reason to go forward.
So there's another 40 cents that's someone else has to share with us, Conroe, everybody else who's getting water out of the pipeline.
Which, keep in mind, Woodlands is the only one at 50-50. Everybody else receiving surface water is still at 35% surface water. So everybody did, in theory, give up a little bit so the Woodlands could go to 50-50 a couple years ago.
Right, 2 years ago.
Have you ever seen any, again, I'm not a geologist, but when you have the straw into the ground, right? And, when you suck that out, how does it affect the adjacent wells? How many, hundreds of yards or miles does that affect obviously there's a tremendous growth happening at the moment.
There is. I don't know the zone of influence off the top of my head. I think a couple hundred feet maybe.
But it's right here.
Yeah.
That's all your wells.
Yeah.
Look at they follow each other.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. This picture looks the same across Harris and Montgomery County.
Yeah.
On those, the aquifer doesn't care where the Met County line is.
Right, it does.
So it's experiencing the same thing.
So basically, everybody around us is
Just
sucking
because
water out of the
it
ground.
changed doesn't mean it's
Right.
gonna help or hurt.
I mean, the last 10 years, we got 150,000 new residents.
But we're sucking down our region here.
We're the biggest converter.
We're, when you look at the graphs from the charts from the USGS, this region right up here, North Harris County, South Montgomery County, is a little pod that's having declines, where south of us, further down the aquifer, they're actually recovering level. So I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't exactly match, because, you got flow coming in from the sides. We've got a big area of depression that we're sitting on top of. That's the way I see the data.
I haven't seen.
Yeah.
it.
Doesn't
I
sound.
love to look.
I mean, I don't have a lot of experience meeting people. So you go to these mud meetings, you meet all the directors, and, you go around and you chat, and most of them in Harris County are not on surface water. They're paying the extraction fee, whatever it is up down there. So there's still a lot of work to do in Harris County in order to,
West Harris County.
West Harris County,
Yeah.
that's where I'm meeting people.
West Harris County Regional Water Authority, Central, North Harris County, Regional, they all have.
They're
They all have it.
they're building
They're all doing
part.
the same thing.
Yeah,
Well, are they all connected? Are they
They're
all-
heading towards, I think they're phase 2.
Yeah, they are. 'Cause they're doing
Yeah,
expansion.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
at 20.
I must have been everybody who wasn't on it.
Well, no, they're not all taking.
No, I'm taking surface water. They're paying, but they're not
They're
taking.
part of the GRP that on the
Right.
aggregate.
Yeah, the aggregate of the GRP has to meet the
Right,
mandate by the
right.
whole, which means this guy, little guy over here in the corner, he may get 0, but this guy's getting 100%. I know districts that are getting 100, 50, 80, 0, but the aggregate has to meet the requirement.
So I must have met everybody not on it.
Well, it's
It's just
general.
wherever the biggest bang for the
Right,
buck is.
yeah, no, I understand.
Get the biggest.
Like,
aggregation.
the biggest bang, yeah, in this case, and, yep. But they studied that. I was more involved in that one early on, in my career and, with the creation of the Northwest County Regional Water Authority. And, and they have, I don't know if it's changed recently, but they have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of where they think those lines are gonna go. So some of those districts might be on the third phase line, you know, the 30-30 line or the 20-30 line, right? Yep.
Anything else?
Sir?
All
would
right,
this be like a further discussion or a continuing discussion where we're just getting this information? I guess just aquifer level, not aquifer levels, but just, I guess we'll have a continuous discussion about surface water versus groundwater and how we're, like the studies that y'all are doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, if there's something I hear about GRP doing that's in the report or something else, just let me know. I can provide the report or provide an update.
Okay.
Just let me know ahead of schedule so I can bring stuff for y'all. Be glad to.
Yeah, the more you can feed to me before these meetings, the quicker that they can get information, so it's productive. So pulling it out at these meetings is hard when we've just heard it for the first time.
yeah.
I basically got the data last night.
Yeah, no,
All right, Brian, you got anything for 14?
No, watching the ledge special session, but nothing to note for our special purpose districts at this point.
This ties into the two of you, but I have a question. How's the litigation going between SJRA?
Well, Ed gave an update on a couple pieces of their ongoing litigation. I'm not intimately involved in it from the mud side, but the update that Ed gave to the trustees last week was that the case with City of Conroe and others is going to be heard for at the Texas Supreme Court in January, early January, on the issue of governmental immunity. You may recall that Conroe claimed that they were not subject to liability under the contract, the GRP contract, because they had governmental immunity. Of course, there is an exception to that waiver to governmental immunity if it's been waived pursuant to a goods and services contract, and there's references throughout that GRP contract that it's a contract for goods and services. So that's gone back and forth at the trial and appellate level, and now it's going to be heard oral arguments at the Texas Supreme Court. And then Ed also reported that the antitrust litigation that's been brought by Quadvest, claiming that the River Authority is an unlawful monopoly, is scheduled for trial in federal court also in early January. I think they're one day or so apart.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a trial, not a jury trial.
So, if you want to go down and listen? Is it open to the public?
Federal court.
That might
I
be
don't
fun.
I would think they would have limited seating for the public, yes. Now, what you have to do to get a seat, now, how many people want to be there?
Yeah. I'm
But-
curious,
Yeah, that might be an actually
Reach out.
interesting trial.
interesting, yeah.
Reach out to the court and see
Yeah.
what you need to do. to-
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. It'd be an interesting to hear the discussion. I mean,
Do you know
since
what
it's,
federal court is being held at? Is it in Houston or is it Omaha?
I don't know.
Okay, because being federal, I don't know if it could be Louisiana. I've heard it before, but it's not.
Yeah, I'd have to visit the judge's litigation.
This is an appeals court.
No, this is, trial.
So it would be likely in Houston.
Well, I mean, it depends on where they filed it. I'd have to get to litigation counsel and see.
It'd be interesting to see.
I might. Well, especially if it's in Houston, drive down and sit and listen.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Item 15, I understand it, but I can't explain it. Why don't you
Yeah,
explain it?
the short answer is we're not making any substantive changes this year. We're doing a little language cleanup, getting rid of some old references to previous legislative sessions for some reps that banks and custodians have to make to us that they don't do business with companies that they don't do business with terrorist organizations or Sudan or Iran, that they don't boycott energy companies or firearm companies, things that the legislature requires for these companies to rep to governmental entities in order for those governmental entities to do business with them. So we've just tightened up the language a little bit. No substantive changes there. We are required to adopt a resolution evidencing that we've completed our annual review of the investment policy and to adopt the amended policy to incorporate those red lines.
Okay, and it's your recommendation that we adopt it,
Yes.
correct? Okay, I need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Uh,
And opposed? Okay. All right, item 17? No, excuse me. Yes, we're gonna skip item 16 and go to 17.
All right. No action items today, pretty light. Just want to point out some articles on drought and leaks in the region. And then some customer phrases on the Water Weekly. That's getting a lot of attention, especially after we changed the name. It's just continuing to grow as far as the responses we're getting from customers. So that's very beneficial. Wanted to report there's been 4 leaks, 4 water line leaks in the last 30 days. So as the soils are coming out of that dry and drought condition and the rain started, soils are moving, and we've had 4 breaks. One was AC and 3 were PVC
So how'd the AC line look?
broken.
No, I'm serious.
No,
I mean, was it corroded?
No, you're not gonna see that about, where these are gonna break is in soil conditions.
I understand, but
The condition of the pipe looks fine.
okay, good.
Yeah, these, I think you're not gonna, even in the testing, you're not gonna see pure pipe conditioning being that off, I would guess. I think it's gonna be more related to the exterior conditions, the soil, the location.
Okay.
But we'll see. It was a 16-inch line, I believe. 12. The AC one? I
We
think it
got
was,
12 and 16, I got a book.
yeah. And
Whatever's in the report.
there is a summary in your report that shows those breaks, from SGRA. It's on page 20. So the 16 was an AC on, South Mill Bend and Timberwell. The 12 was the one, was on Northway. And that line broke, well, across the street, it broke July. And then it broke up on the other side of 242.
That's in mud 47.
Yes. Yes,
60-inch was what, 47?
no, the 12-inch, the Northway.
All right, anything else?
And when something like that breaks, these are shared expenses.
Again?
Are these all shared expenses or that's like in this case, the 12-inch PVC? Is that mud 47 repair? Or is
Yeah,
it
the
WWA repair? Or is it their
area ones would be shared. And
Okay.
if we're in a specific district and it was below 12-inch in diameter, it would be that
That
district.
district, okay.
And there's John to talk about.
Afternoon.
Hey, John.
You have your communications reports on page 45 of the packet. I'll start by noting that we just got permission to publish that USGS lecture, the recording of that. So
Can you get the slides?
push that out. Last month, I spent a little time talking about observations we were making in public realm as far as communications, what we were hearing, a lot of that coming from the drought and the high water bills. Certainly that continues. We our thumb on social media and those same themes pervade. A lot of misinformation, lack of information, concerns about surface water and so forth. The vast majority of what we see is coming from areas outside of our boundaries. Folks with other providers, but that still concerns us because communicate across on social media platforms across boundaries, and so we want to be vigilant. We're concerned that that information, those sentiments influence our customers. So we have been and will continue to step up our communications on those topics. You'll see that reflected in some of the materials here for the next few pages, and you'll continue to see us put more out on rates, understanding your bill, and so forth. I encourage you to help us further the message. You're in a great position to do that with your connections, with your knowledge level. So please share our materials through your online networks, social networks. However, if you're not seeing a piece that you think would be particularly helpful, let us know. We can produce that, and please let us know what you're hearing from residents. What questions, concerns are you gathering from the public? Relay that to us. That really helps us. We're moving forward with the infrastructure renewal communications program. So Holloway has been secured. They have a notice to proceed. That's the consultant that Estuary secured. They're working on their strategic plan right now, the initial phases of that. And we'll have that in our lap by the end of January. We'll begin implementing.
So say it again now.
Infrastructure renewal, working with the new consultant there. Get communications out.
And this is at the SJO level, or was that with the WWA level? The infrastructure renewal.
We're working with Estuary and the consultant.
The campaign will be a joint campaign.
I wanted to point out on the following page 46, we have a bill ad coming out. This upcoming bill that notifies folks on any rate adjustments. So heads up about that. We'll be getting those notices out through other means as well. I want folks to be fully notified well in advance on what's going to be effective as of January 1 as far as their rates. A couple articles to point you here in the Woodlands Community Magazine. So the current article is on understanding your water bill, the service water fee, and the GRP. So that's the Woodlands Community Magazine right now. And we have another one in November, keys to understanding and lowering your water flow. Walk folks through that, and we're going to be having some more pieces online to help folks interpret their bills, understand how we arrive at them. We have more in-person outreach events coming up. We're going to be at Cranebrook on Saturday for the Sterling Ridge Festival. And that's from 10 to 2. We'll be at Shadow Bend for the Cochran's Crossing Festival on Sunday from 1 to 4. I apologize, that's not actually on the calendar. But we'll be out there this Sunday, 1 to 4 Shadow Bend. And we will likely have some more additions to this as we move forward. And again, please join us at any point for any of those. I do want to point finally to a really nice piece that Eric did with JJ from the Chamber of Commerce, Between the Trees. I don't know if you're familiar with that production. So Eric was on there recently. Did a really nice job. We've got about a 30-minute interview from that really encapsulates well who Woodlands Water is, who the MUDs are, what we do, a lot of the current issues, touches on infrastructure renewal, programs and services. So it's a nice piece to hand to somebody to understand those items. It's a nice package, and we'll be pushing that out as well through social media and emails and so forth.
I have a couple of things. So have we ever done a survey asking the customers like what's most important to them on the water wastewater side? Have we done a survey?
So we have an annual survey. We pushed it out last September. We're gonna follow that up the end of this month. So resurvey to see.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I saw it.
We got about
Yeah.
1,000 responses. It did not ask that question, what is most important to you, but we did assess knowledge and opinion levels.
I just remember, like, I've done a lot of surveys for the township. Like, for some reason, I see all the township stuff. I don't know if that's because they text me and they say, do this right now.
What we talked about in the PEC meeting last week was that we would resend the survey that we did last year with the same questions so we can get a change. And then we may look at adding a couple other questions going forward, at least in this one, to start building some additional data. But we got to make sure that we keep at least the initial questions the same, just so we can compare how that's translating from year to year. But then to potentially, I think there were 16 questions on last year's questionnaire. So we were thinking about adding a few more questions that were more specific to something like that, like infrastructure.
Now we got a text because I don't look in my email, honestly.
We've had a number of discussions about that, yeah. I would like to see that.
Okay, because I mean, a text, I'll get it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this right now.
Some of us do email, some do text, some do social media, we need to be across
Yeah,
multiple.
I feel like I respond better if it's text.
Yeah.
Um,
But just to follow up on that, if you have a specific question or two you would like to provide to the PEC for consideration on this next round of polling,
okay,
please send it to me.
okay.
Okay.
Are you involved in anything as far as for the Woodlands 50th anniversary activities?
We will be coordinating with them.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
we'll
wanted to
start.
make sure. Has there been any consideration of advertising, the Smart Water program at the Pavilion concerts or at the Children's Festival?
We haven't looked at that yet, but everything's on the table.
I just remember like at concerts, like the QR code will come up for something and I'm like, oh, let me do that right now. And so if I don't know, maybe you could talk to them about advertising at their, maybe their free concerts, or even their paid concerts if they want to be that
Right.
generous.
Mhm.
Not familiar with it, but
And I was just thinking the Children's Festival because a lot of parents will be there.
Right.
And probably a lot of Woodlands residents.
Yeah.
right. That was my first event with my family when we moved.
Yeah, a lot of people go there. So I was just thinking maybe to get the word out about the Smart Water program through the pavilion.
We'll look at that.
Okay.
You're doing a good job.
We're trying.
I am seeing lots of advertising on Nextdoor by the SJRA.
We're ramping up next door.
That's a good platform.
Yeah.
So, all right, very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Item 18, it's in your packet. I think it was item or page 50. Maybe not. Uh, 49. Dave, did you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. It's in your packet there. We don't need a closed session, do we, Brian?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, item 21, discuss matters for placement on the future agenda. Let's put on the policy revision. We talked about it earlier today, that for the adjustments to the bill. Can we add that? Also in November, we normally tell everybody that December, everyone's going to get sick. And so we're not going to have a December meeting.
It's not normal.
We haven't had a December meeting in years,
That's not true. We didn't have one last year.
or I think the year before.
Yeah, we're gonna be putting it on all the agendas just to consider in November whether or not you want to have a December meeting. If it's historically been a light topic meeting or it doesn't have any heavy lifting, things like that, then we'll bring that information to you and you can make a decision.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And if something comes up, if you decide to defer it to January, if something comes up, you can always call a special meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
If something's critical that comes up.
All right. Anything else?
I have one maybe for Chris. We had, you put the tours of the sewer plant kind of on hold because of the heat. Could we schedule, I know Fred and I both haven't been. We'd like to, take a
Everyone,
tour.
he's already coordinating,
Okay.
so I'll let.
Just today. You must be reading my mind or
Right,
something. So I'd mentioned to Jason that, we wanted to do that when I started.
Right.
But it was getting hot, and so we were gonna do it when it cooled down. So I actually sent him an email this morning or this afternoon asking him if we could put that on our radar for this fall. I'd like to get it done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so that's in motion. And when we have, he gave me a few dates that might work in, November and December. And so, what I wanted to focus on though was all of the newest members. We have about 8 this year or so. And then we can see how much, I don't know in the past if we've done bands or something bigger than, or we're caravanning. I don't know what makes the most sense, but we'll work all that out. Yeah, if you're interested.
I'm interested. I think Fred did, in the past was interested, so.
Okay. How about the receiving plants? Are they worth going through?
That's what I was talking about.
No, you were talking about the sewer,
I was thinking in my mind that we would tour the water plants and the sewer plants.
okay.
I've been to the water plant, so mine was the sewer plant.
I want to see both
Yeah.
personally. I've seen hundreds probably over the
Yeah.
years, but I want to see ours.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the water plant again because we missed them. It took so long, we missed the back end.
I see.
So, but we have been in the sewer plant.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking both, but if maybe we do one in the morning, and if someone doesn't want to do it, we can split it up, whatever.
That'd be a lot of travel.
Well, I mean, there's only
County deal.
5 3 treatment plants and 5 water plants.
So you're.
Oh, I'm talking about the dam.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking about the dam,
You were talking about the surface.
surface water plant.
Right.
That will be something different. That will not be on that day.
Right.
And it is the water receiving facilities Tom was talking about. Those can be hit.
That's ours.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd like to do both of those.
That's where I was heading with the new directors.
Okay.
But we can set that up too. I've given many tours of that over the years through leadership in Montgomery County, but yeah, we can set that up. Ron, the director over there that runs it.
We go through Jason, he's over both of them,
Yeah.
so Jason can coordinate the whole thing.
Perfect. Now, do you want to be on the other one?
I'd like to be on the
The
WWA portion for
Gotcha.
sure.
Perfect.
And if the other one, right day, I'd go back to the surface water plant, just to see the tail end of it. We ran out of time.
Okay. We'll be working on that.
Have you seen on SJRE's website where they like go through a tour of like the plants, like
Mhm.
virtually?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's pretty
It
interesting.
is. It's a good tour. All right. Anything else? Okay. I make a motion to end. Any objections?
Not a second. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.